that one too.
Might.
You can write with both hands.
Sometimes.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, July 12th, 2018 regular session of the Xenia City Council. We are coming to order now and we'll first have an invocation led by Pastor Dan Jordan from Xenia Grace Chapel, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilman Scrivens. If you would all rise with me, please, for the invocation and pledge.
Would you pause with me in prayer? Father, we are so grateful today that we have this privilege of coming into your presence. And we thank you, Lord, for the promises that you give us to live on and to trust you with. And we pray tonight, especially for our city council. We ask you, Lord, for wisdom and insight, understanding. We ask you, Lord, favor and protection for our city. We are grateful for the land we live in particular, the city that we are a part of. And so we thank you, Lord. You're a God of impossibilities. You're a God of wonder. And we focus on you and we look to you again this evening. Thank you, Lord, for your blessings. Thank you for the privileges of living in our community. And again, we ask your blessings upon this meeting and upon our home place. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pastor Jordan and Councilman Scrivens. May I have roll call, please?
Vice President Wallace.
Here.
Councilman Scrivens.
Here.
Councilman Louderback.
Here.
Councilman Smith.
Here.
Councilman Dean. Mayor Mays.
Here.
President Engel.
Here.
Mr. President, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Councilman Dean.
Thank you very much. Have a motion to excuse Councilman Dean this evening. Is there a second, please?
I second it, Mr. Mayor, Mr. President. Madam Mayor, Mr. President.
Perfect. Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or question on the motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. This time we have an opportunity for approval of minutes. The minutes are from June 28th, 2018, our regular session.
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by Councilman Smith. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Louderback. Any discussion or question on the minutes before us, please?
Yeah, Mr. President, there's just a typo. One of the last pages, page 11, where I commented about Xenia teacher, it's actually Butch Bolton, and his last name's B-O-L-T-O-N, not Fulton. Sorry, it probably sounded the same, but it just later just make that correction. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or correction to the minutes, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Louderback.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. This is our time for special presentations. There are none scheduled this evening, so we will move to audience comments. Anyone caring to address the Xenia City Council this evening, please feel free to do so. Step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 4 to 5 minutes, please.
Okay, hi, my name is Mike Burrell. I live at 2304 Carolina Drive here in Xenia. I'm here to speak on the proposed tax levy for the roads. Right now, our income tax is 2.25% in Xenia. It's also 2.25% in Kettering. We're one of the highest income tax rates in Greene County, minus, like Kettering and all that. I work in Kettering, so you guys don't recognize up to 0.5%, so I'm paying more. And here's my problem with all this. All across the country, we keep seeing every city, everywhere, tax and spend and not set a budget and stick to it. I lived in Austin, Texas for 5 years. I watched an average household that was worth these were some of the junk houses go to where people had them paid off. They have way higher tax rates. They were taxing it up to where the people couldn't even afford to pay their taxes on their houses, okay? Here, you have an opportunity to do something. You come into Xenia, you pull on Progress Drive. We have this nice hotel. It looks nice. You've got the White Building going. But you got a patchwork of a road, okay? Everything else right now is a patchwork of a road. it doesn't look good. If I was a company coming into town wanting to build, I want to see infrastructure. I want to see everything taken care of. I think that's one of the problems why you guys don't have anybody coming here. And if we don't fix that, but I'm not saying tax everything either. There's other ways you have to cut budgets. I used to work for a millionaire that said, if you can't afford to do something, you don't do it, or you cut places and other things. If you got a company that one part is failing, you cut something in the budget somewhere else. You don't tax people when there's going to be a limit. And the limit's going to be when you guys come up for re-election, you're probably not going to be there and some new person's going to be in there. I know it's a tough job. I know it doesn't pay much, and I understand that. I thought about running once. I'm not going to do it unless I really had to, but I'm going to come up here and speak. Since in a town of 20-something thousand people, we only have 6,000 voters. I see all these people griping on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I've been on there for a couple weeks ago, and if you don't like it, go there and talk. And all they want to do is say something, you know. You can be nasty on it, you can do that. You get here and you actually hear it instead of this other stuff. So here's my proposals. Make a budget, stick to it. If something comes up, you want to do it, you either find a grant for it or don't do it. The things that are important is city, fire, roads, water, and all that. Everything else, you guys aren't going to have a job. We're not going to have a city. You got to look at it that way. If I don't have the money to do something, I don't keep running up credit cards. Other towns are doing it too. Other towns are not doing it, and they're finding ways of doing it. Kettering isn't that bad. They're doing all right. I work there. I see the roads. We got to do something. We got to stop doing it. Stop selling. If the city has property that's owned, sell it, but make a profit. Don't give it to somebody and lose $200,000. Don't take a building and knock it down and then say something's going to come and you hope it's going to come there, and it's not. You're losing money. I could say something about the city building. I said that back in 2015. That's why some of you guys are here that are new people, because I helped pass out and get you guys here. I'm tired of it, man. This is our town. It's not this little segments of this town or anybody. Mr. Lauterbach stood against the city building back when you guys were proposing it. I thought that made sense. Other towns are taking old Walmart buildings, changing them into city buildings. It could have been done for 1/10 of what it costs to build this. How do I know? I know buildings, I know it. Anyway. So we got to start being fiscally responsible and doing things for this town. The bike path thing, that whoever did that study, forget it. I've seen 5 bikers in the past 2 weeks almost get hit. They're not riding in the bike lane, they're riding outside of it. That's education. But also some of them, they're turning, if the state did the safety studies and all that on it, they did it wrong. And you guys need to go back to them and say, hey, you know, you should be able to change that. It's making traffic bad, it's doing everything. The whole thing is, when what I see happen here, when things are getting done, it's like nobody's following through with it all the way. Nobody's doing a full study, maybe. I don't know. The traffic downtown's gotten worse. It shouldn't have. Your fire responses are going to be worse because they're going from 3 lanes to 2 lanes. That's already been figured out by the city fire. I've heard complaints about that. So just take care of this town. Do things right. Don't just trust a stupid traffic study from somebody that doesn't live in this town. So that's all I got to say. I care about this town. Don't make me run for council, please.
Anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please?
Hi, I'm back again. My name's Ken Harbison. And I got the same complaint he does about the city system on the roads and everything else. I'm kind of confused. In 2010, we had a ballot for the fire department, police department, and the maintenance of the roads. And it was allocated $500,000 for the roads. This is 8 years ago, and our roads are still terrible. Now, I read it in the paper where it was said that you guys spent $2.5 million. Well, you really don't have nothing to show for it. I'm sorry. For 8 years, you had $500,000, and the roads was never fixed. And everything. And I'm like this gentleman here. I was born here, like I said. I know a lot about this city and everything else. I know what happened, where it happened. I know when Nixon was here and all that stuff. And then I hear about you guys might be considering put roundabouts in 2 parts of the city. One here on Church and 42, one on 35 and New Jasper Road. I mean, that's what I heard. I don't know how true it is, but I heard the rumor. Have you guys ever been on a roundabout in a busy city or anything? It don't happen. That's the most safe thing that anybody could do to a city. I mean, we got street lights to do their job. So, I mean, I live out in Lanewood. I live off of Rockwell and 2nd Street. And that red light there, I need a gas station because we sat there so long coming out of that plat. Now, you come in the other way, because of the middle school and everything else, you got a program where it goes pretty like it should. But any other time, if you try to, a lot of people like me, I go out the other way with the stop sign and get out. And not, I had to sit there almost 5 minutes before I even get out of that street. But we got a red light, and that's good. So, I got a lot to say, but I think it's on deaf ears and everything else. I mean, I'm disappointed about the people in Xenia that get on Facebook and everything else and don't have the audacity or guts or whatever you want to call it to come up and see you guys in person. This way you know who I am. I'm not ashamed of who I am. And I mean, I'm entitled to my opinion the same as you guys are entitled to yours. And I respect that. So, but the city needs to get their act together. You said in the newspaper that the city allocates $800,000 a year for streets. Well, like I said before, in 2010, we had $500,000, but nothing got done. Now, I read it in the paper because I got it in my pocket. You passed the buck to the other administrations. That don't happen. Some of you people have been on this council for a long time. You've been around a long time. You know what's going on. I just like to know where the money's going. Now, everybody, if you say something about safety, the first thing you want to do, somebody wants to whip your butt. Well, I'm not here to down safety or anything like that, because I believe in the firemen and the police officers. They do a heck of a job. There's no question about it, and we need them. But we're a city with 26,000 people, just a little over 26,000 people, and it's never going to change. It's been 26,000. Well, it started out 24, and we finally got to 26. And they ain't going to get any bigger. But like I told you the last time, you guys are spending too much money. We cannot keep up with Beaver Creek, Oakwood, Dayton, or anybody. We don't need to. We don't have the revenue coming in to do it. Plain point blank. So I've got a little, it's a little funny, but if I was thinking about this being economical consultant. If you need something for free, I'll just give you any help you need. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's other people out there who do the same thing. We get behind closed doors, we can hack it out. That's the best way to do it. Don't forget, the city of Xenia, yes, we vote you guys in, but you work for us. Plain point blank. So, and this building here, it's fantastic. And I want to say something maybe I shouldn't. I don't understand how you didn't put it on the ballot so that people could vote for this building. You found a loophole where you could put it under safety or something like that, where you wouldn't have to put it on the ballot so people would vote for it. Because you know they wouldn't vote for this. Started out 8 million, 12 million, now I heard it's around 25 million when you get this building paid for. So it's under safety. So like I say, when you say safety, everybody wants to just punch you out. But I'm 100% for safety, 100%. There's a lot of things I don't, like I told the city manager the other time. I don't much like the idea, when you put a ballot on for fire and police, people say, yeah, we need safety. Then all of a sudden, not like I say, other cities do it too. I had a route waiting, like I said before. But then you get a bill. I live in Lanewood. I got a bill for $350 to go from Lanewood to Greenmore Hospital for ambulance service. Then I had to have another bill when I had my wife taken from Xenia to Miami Valley. I got a bill for $560. I paid over $800 and some to the city of Xenia because I feel I was obligated. Well, that ain't right. That's what people's under the impression when you call a fire department, it says Xenia Fire Division. It don't say that you have a separate bill and everything. Then I talked to the gentleman over there, and he brought up to the point, well, we had to pay for the gas, the wear and tear of the vehicle, the personnel, and everything else.
Sir, excuse me, but you are at about
Pardon?
7.5 minutes worth of time.
I'm sorry, Mayor.
You were at about 7.5 minutes worth of time.
Okay, well, but anyway, what I'm getting at, I like the city of Xenia and everything. Like I said, I was born and raised here. And I hope you guys start listening to the people instead of behind closed doors.
And sir, if you would also state your name or state your address for the record.
Yeah, that's 1532 Cowmore Drive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please?
Good evening. My name is Doris Toddy. I live at 707 Lexington Avenue in Xenia. The last time I was here at a council meeting was when Sharaga was the mayor. Today I'm coming back with the same concern. It's gotten worse, not better. I have neighbors that live straight across the street from me.
Ma'am, could you speak up a little bit?
I'm
Some of
sorry.
the council members can't hear you very well.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I have neighbors, is that better?
Yes.
That live across the street from me that was court ordered when Liz Dutrill was riding through Xenia, making sure you clean up your trash, old cars, miscellaneous and everything. Which when she retired, my neighbors went right back to junking. It's terrible now. And I just want to extend an invitation for members of this council to come and look what I have to deal with every day. I have strawberries around my house, but I haven't cut them because I like to sit on my porch and just relax. But every day, their family, they're bringing junk to the area. They're the founders of the junk. They bring old tractors. Our sidewalks are busted up where they drive tractors in from the country. The council at that time, when Sharaga was here, gave them permission to build a pole barn. No specification. They just went out in the country, got some tin, put it around with poles, no flooring, just nothing but more junk. I'm not here to rat on them or anything, but it's almost like they do whatever they want to, and they're in the city limits. At that time, a variance was given. They don't care anything about anything now. It's all for ourselves. We do what we want to do. I worked 2 jobs, 40 years of barbering. I've never seen anything like it. I live in the East End, and that seems to be the worst end of the 4 ends in this city. I'm just asking for someone to really come and look and give them a boundary line. When they lived out past Central State, the state came in and turned over everything they had. So I'm familiar with that. And I thank you for your patience.
Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please?
I guess I don't need. It's a short distance. Good evening to everyone. My name is Laura Gilotti, and I do live at 201 West 2nd Street. I just want you to, I know that my name could be easy to recall and to remind, but I just want each of you to have a face of MS, because I'm an MS patient, and I just want you to know that the process that I've been through in order to get a signage for the disabled people has been absolutely exhausting. Hard. And I just want to let you make a short story. I do learn to love Ohio from my father, who was an Air Force veteran that since World War II, and since that time, he flew in the same wartime, 3 different uniforms. First, as an Italian ally. I'm a dual citizen. I born American, but I do hold the Italian citizen. Il parlo italiano, siamo la prima lingua. And my father flew first as an Italian ally, then Canadian. He was an Air Force a pilot, and then ended hired by U.S. Air Force. We are talking from 1939 till 50, his last endeavors were in Korea. But he ended flying with General Dodido. And he told me since I was a little girl, and that's how I ended in Ohio, that man was the most brave, courageous, and humble human being. And he taught me to love Ohio. And I do love Ohio so much that I believe that property that I'm asking for on behalf of the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, not the American, not the general organization, to the chapter of Ohio. Why is that? Because Ohio does have the highest incidence of multiple sclerosis. I not only believe what I do possess in real estate, I also believe my brain. I also deprive my kids from have a grave. They don't need to mourn me because I'm a fighter. And that is what I want you guys to know. To have a face, not a reference, not a name. And I love Xenia so much. And there's a lot that needs to be done. And there's a lot we have in my community where I do live. We do have an aging population. We do have people that is getting older, and we can exclude elderly people, disabled people, from the service and the products of that every other constituent could have with free access. So we need to be more cautious on that, because that's the kind of population that we have. We do not have a lot of millennials. Education, I don't want to get on that, but just want to let you know that I'm here, that I'm a fighter. And in the same way that my father flew with General Dudito, I will be flying with any one of you in the position when we realize that a policy that does hurt the people does not come with a good overlay on that. So we have to pay a little attention. There's a lot that needs to be done, but we need leaders right there, and commitment, and that is what we need. So nice to meet you. Je suis so enchantée, and buonasera.
Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please?
Hello, my name is Matt Johnson. I live at 563 Jody Drive here in Xenia, Ohio. Glad to be here tonight. I'm glad that you guys are serving on our city council. I've talked to many of the city council members, past and present, and I remember the day that Miss Mays came to my door over in Reserve of Xenia, asking for her votes for her to, I didn't know she was going to, I don't think she knew she was going to become the mayor, but just get on city council. Now, with that said, I understand there's a lot of stuff going on Facebook and a lot of stuff with Mr. Kopp and Mr. Lauterbach, Mr. Dean, in regards to supporting the tax levy. This tax levy is totally inappropriate. I don't understand exactly what you guys are going to do if this levy fails. I wasn't there for the 3 or 4 different meetings you guys had with city citizens. Like, it's pretty sad to say, but we do have citizens of population 25,000 plus here, but only 6,000 decide to show up to actually vote in this city, which is pretty pitiful. Even if we try to get people to the polls, they probably still wouldn't vote the way they, most people would like them to do, because everyone wants to see the city council, especially the city manager and the finance director, to make sure that they spend our money well. And as we know, this city is run by unions, and we all know that the unions have big contracts, and I do believe that police and fire do need to be paid well, and I do think that they need the equipment and stuff like that to be able to do their jobs professionally, safely, and take care of the city. But at the same time, what are you guys going to do if this levy fails? No one's ever mentioned that anywhere in the paper. You guys are putting all your eggs in one basket and hoping that this levy will pass in November. I hope it fails. I really do. Because I think you guys need to do better with the money that we give you. It's totally ridiculous how much money that we give you in a home. I understand that, on an average $100,000 house, it's going to be about $138. People with bigger houses, going to be a lot more. But at the same time, it just continues to show that, I'm not saying that all council and always the city manager is at fault here, because they're not. You guys are put in a position to do the best decision you make, but at the same time, you guys ran on other reasons of wanting to be on council. You didn't say that you're going to raise our taxes. You didn't say that we are going to continue to put patchwork on these roads. Our roads look like crap, and I agree with the citizen from Carolina Drive. They do look like crap. 2 years now that no one's been able to use the Hampton Inn for the hamvention. Lots of revenue lost. Don't understand why. Heard a lot of different rumors, code enforcement and all that stuff, but who knows? But the fact of the matter is when you come into the city, you don't see much. You see a water tower that's been draped with a halo for almost 6 weeks to 8 weeks now because there's a problem with it. I don't think the citizens were told of that. They're just now getting back to working on it because they're done with the one in Fairborn. I work for the city of Fairborn, so I know what's going on. My point is that I didn't vote for some of you council people to come in here and raise our taxes. I voted for you guys to be able to manage our money well and do that in a professional and wholehearted way rather than coming to us with a levy. I really do hope the levy fails, and I just hope that you guys know what you guys are going to do after it does fail. Thank you.
Would anyone else care to come and address the Xenia City Council this evening, please? Thank you. We will move on to our next item on the agenda, which is old business. Under old business, we have one item, an ordinance 2018-20, establishing a 20-foot disability parking space in front of 201 West 2nd Street, originally introduced by Councilman Lauterbach.
So moved for passage.
Move for passage at this time. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Scrivens. Any discussion or question on this motion, please? Seeing none, roll call.
Vice President Wallace.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. This time we have a public hearing, and it is under Resolution 2018-T, adopting the tax budget of the City of Xenia, Ohio for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2019, and authorizing the Finance Director to submit it to the Greene County Auditor and declaring it to be an emergency.
It'll be me.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. As required by law, tonight's public hearing is for consideration of the proposed 2019 tax budget. The tax budget as submitted totals $55,393,028.15. This includes operating and capital funds, and all funds show a positive ending balance based on the revenue and expense projections. The tax budget as presented meets our internal reserve requirement policy. The public is reminded that the tax budget represents a conservative preliminary look at the proposed budget for the ensuing fiscal year and is not a commitment of actual expenditures. Final budget totals later this year will be a much more accurate reflection of likely revenues and potential expenditures for 2019. What's more, and as is always the case, the budget total in excess of $55 million as presented is not representative of the anticipated expenses, but rather this total includes all expenses and fund transfers as required by accounting principles and state law to document budgetary transactions. The net impact is the appearance of a budget that is far greater than what the city actually will spend, but it is necessary for us to do this to follow proper governmental accounting practices. The Budget and Finance Subcommittee has met for an initial review of the tax budget, and the committee will fully engage over the next 2 months for more in-depth review of the final budget product. Staff recommends a public hearing be conducted and that the tax budget be approved for submittal through an emergency resolution this evening.
Thank you. This time I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to step forward and speak for the 2019 tax budget, please step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 3 to 4 minutes, please. Seeing no one come forward, I will ask that anyone wishing to speak against the tax budget for 2019, please step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 3 to 4 minutes, please. Seeing no one come forward, anyone wishing to speak neither for nor against, but on the subject of the tax budget, please step to the podium, provide us your name and address. Limit your comments 3 to 4 minutes, please.
I'm back.
Just stick to it. I'm Michael Burrell, 2304 Carolina Drive. Just stick to it as best you can. Don't go over. We're watching.
Would anyone else care to come and address neither for nor against the tax budget this evening, please? Seeing no one come forward, I will close the public hearing at this time and ask for an emergency resolution motion. Pass this, please.
So moved as an emergency.
Thank you. Moved by the mayor as an emergency. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by the vice president. Discussion or question on the motion, please. Councilman?
Mr. President, since I've been on this council, it's about 6 months now, going on 7. This is the most clear way that I've seen our budget presented in 9 points that everybody can kind of digest. I'd like to thank our finance director in organizing the numbers so we can understand them. Numbers are hard to understand just by themselves, but now when we put them in priorities, and we have 9 priorities, and they have budget expenditure items under each priority, and the one that everybody is concerned about is item number 4, sustain and improve the city infrastructure while ensuring its reliability and capacity to serve the public over the long term. And under that, we have the landfill, which is like that giant sucking sound on our budget. And we have poor street conditions and stormwater rehab. And I just think that if we adhere to this budget, I think we'll be in a lot better stead this time next year. So I'll be all for this tax budget as it's presented.
Thank you. Any other comments, please? Seeing no additional comments, roll call, please.
Vice President Walsh.
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens.
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach.
Aye.
Councilman Smith.
Aye.
Mayor Mays.
Aye.
President Engel.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. At this time, we will move to new business. First item under new business is ordinance 2018-21, an introduction approving a major change to a concept plan for an 11.396 acre planned unit development at 441, 457, and 469 Dayton Avenue. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Item A under new business this evening does recommend the introduction of ordinance 2018-21 approving a major change in the concept plan for the PUD located at the site formerly known as Green Park Plaza. As council members will recall, the owner of the site has considered a multitude of redevelopment options over the course of a pretty extended period of time since the demise of the former retail center that previously occupied that site. City staff has participated in fairly extensive and long-term dialogue regarding options for the reuse of the site with the intent of helping to ensure that a good product with long-term viability would result there. While some retail reuse has advanced along the frontage of the site with the construction of the Dollar General here in the last couple of years, broader retail redevelopment of the site has long since ceased to be a reasonable option as consumer trends have changed and the emphasis of Xenia's retail sector has shifted to our western border along US 35. City staff continues to agree that residential redevelopment of the site provides the best reuse option with the greatest chance for long-term sustainability of that location. Council will also recall that a redevelopment concept plan was approved via ordinance 2015-37, which called for a 32-unit residential complex. The site owner and developer feels that in order for the redevelopment of the site to be economically viable, a higher density of units is required. The revised concept plan therefore calls for a 50-unit development of townhomes with up to 4 units per structure. These would be constructed in the same basic layout as previously projected. The city planner has worked with the owner to evaluate the implications of this in light of the X-Plan priorities and in light of our land use code regulations. It was determined that the change in the concept plan is supportive of X-Plan priorities and generally falls within land use code parameters, except that the code does not support multiple residential buildings on a parcel or front setbacks as small as those proposed in the city's conventional residential districts. To accommodate these conditions, approval of the ordinance presented would be required. The revised concept plan was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission on July 5th and was subsequently endorsed by that group. Staff also endorses the revised concept plan and recommends City Council introduce and ultimately approve the change. Our feeling after long-term evaluation of options with the developer is that the unique conditions and limitations of the site promote residential use and that expanding the market rate townhome style housing options presents a net positive value for the community. What's more, approving a viable plan that encourages financial reinvestment at the site while at the same time eliminating what has been a long-term site maintenance problem, both in and of themselves provide a justifiable rationale for the approval. So with that, staff is recommending that council introduce.
Thank you. Is there an introduction from one of my colleagues, please?
I'll introduce that, Mr. President.
Thank you. Introduced by Councilman Smith. Next item is Resolution 2018-U, also an introduction, determining to proceed with the levy of a property tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation for street purposes and to submit the question of the tax to the electors at the November 6, 2018 election. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. City Council's requested staff prepare the legislation necessary to place before the electorate the question of a property tax increase for the express and sole purpose of street repair and rehabilitation. Council has taken the necessary preliminary steps and the final legislative action required to advance the matter to the Board of Elections is the approval of a resolution determining to proceed with the ballot question. Resolution 2018-U, would facilitate this required step. If City Council so desires to move forward through the approval of this measure, staff will follow up in the coming weeks with some more detailed information on for the public on the state of our transportation infrastructure, the budgetary limitations that inhibit additional investment with our current means, and certainly more specificity on how those additional resources would be used.
Thank you. Is there an introduction from one of my colleagues, please?
I'll introduce that, Mr. President.
Thank you. Introduced by Councilman Smith. Next item is an administrative motion approving the final plat and authorizing the city manager to execute a subdividers agreement for Sterling Green Crossing Phase 3. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. Staff is recommending this evening that City Council authorize by administrative motion the execution of subdividers agreement for Sterling Green Crossing Phase 3. Phases 1 and 2 of the new development are nearly sold out, with most homes having either been finished or are in the process of being completed. Most public improvements have been completed with the exception of final courses of asphalt and some sidewalk and utility work that do need to be finished. Our construction inspection office is working with the developers to ensure that build out of those improvements is completed per city specifications. Given the rapid success of phases 1 and 2 over the years of 2016 and 17 respectively, M1 Development in conjunction with Ryan Homes is anxious to move forward with the phase 3 build out. Staff has reviewed the phase 3 final plat and drawings, and with some minor noted exceptions to be addressed, find them to be in good order. These plans were shared with the Planning and Zoning Commission also on July 5th, and with the conditions as noted, the commission voted to endorse those plans. This evening, staff is recommending that council approve the final plan and authorize the execution of the subdividers agreement through approval of an administrative motion. In your consideration of this, it should be noted that because the developer will not complete all the required improvements prior to recording the plat, it's necessary to enter into the subdividers agreement with the backing of a performance bond to guarantee completion of those public improvements. That's some policy changes we've made in the last few years. So a copy of that agreement for Sterling Green Crossing Phase 3 was included in your agenda report. So staff recommends the administrative motion this evening.
Thank you. Madam Law Director, do we need one motion or two? Is there two items here under the recommendation?
You're approving the final plat. The subdividers agreement is part of that plat. I believe that's how Planning
think that
Commission
was the
approved
intent,
it.
yeah.
So you could do it in one motion.
Thank you very
because
much.
they go together.
May I have a motion, please, then, to approve the final plat and authorize the city manager to enter into the subdividers agreement?
So moved, Mr. President.
Moved by the Vice President. Second, please.
A second.
Seconded by Councilman Smith. Any discussion or question on the motion, please?
Just one, Mr. President. Mr. City Manager, what is the minimum frontage for a buildable lot in the city of Xenia?
I'm going to defer to our resident expert, Mr. Forshner.
We don't have a minimum frontage, we have a minimum lot width, and in the R1C district, I believe that is 60 feet on interior lots and 80 feet on corner lots.
There's a couple lots in the plat that are much less than that.
There is a corner lot that's 75 feet instead of the 80 feet. Planning Commission approved that because it was approved at the preliminary plat stage at that depth. I did ask the developer if they could widen that by taking away from some of the other lots, but it was impossible for them to do it without creating another substandard lot. So, and given that, and given that it was originally approved at the preliminary stage at that width, that's why they chose to recommend approval.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Do you have a question?
My question was, does it matter, Brian, if the, what type building is being built, whether it's a townhouse or a ranch or whatever?
The zoning for that subdivision is for single-family detached residential. So that's all it will allow.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question, please?
Mr. President, this
Yes.
was presented to Planning and Zoning, which is coming up on my list of items here, but this was discussed, this was presented very well by Ryan Holmes, which has been building now for several years, and they seem to have a niche market right there. And these are not cheap homes. These are homes probably in the $150,000 to $200,000 range. So I believe it's a real positive step, and it is a good investment for our community.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question, please? Seeing nothing additional, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Our final item under new business this evening is also an administrative motion approving the schedule of bills in the amount of $150,196.79. Mr. Finance Director, anything to add, please?
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. Motion, please, to pass and pay our bills this evening.
Motion.
Moved by Congressman.
Yeah.
You've been promoted. Councilman. Sorry, I was thinking about tomorrow at Wright Pat, where I'll be seeing a congressman, perhaps. And second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Smith. Any discussion or question on our bills this evening? Councilman Lauterbach.
I noticed on page 7, the retail coach, $15,539. Is that to date, or is that total?
That's for this year, yeah, I think it's to date for this year, and I think they may have one additional payment left this year. I actually was gonna mention to the council president after the meeting tonight that I would recommend an executive session after our meeting on the 26th, as we have several updates, including some updates in that process we'd like to provide that would fall under that executive session privilege, so we can certainly provide an update on where some of those efforts are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question on the bills this evening, please? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you. This time we have opportunity for reports of committees. First is the Board of Zoning Appeals. Mayor Mays, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Board of Zoning Appeals met in regular session on June 25th, and we had 3 cases. The first was a variance request for 1694 Pawnee Drive to allow temporary modular classroom structure to remain on the property for a total of 4 years instead of the maximum of 2 years, filed by Mr. Schur on behalf of Summit Academy. That was approved. The next case was a variance request for Wilson Drive to allow gravel driveway instead of the required asphalt or concrete to access a proposed single-family home on a 4.57 acre property between Wilson Drive and Louise Drive. Access filed by Megan and Joseph Ellswick, which was approved. And the last was a variance request for 253 North King Street to allow a 14 by 24 detached rear yard storage building to be built across the lot line, contrary to the requirement that such an accessory building be set back at least 3 feet from all lot lines, filed by Mr. Duhen, which was approved. And our next meeting is July 23rd at 6 p.m. And I just want to mention that we still have an opening on Board of Zoning Appeals. If you are interested in being a part of that commission, please contact our city clerk, Michelle Johnson. We could definitely use another person. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything for the mayor and Board of Zoning Appeals, please? Councilman Dean is absent this evening, so we will postpone his Traffic Commission report. The Board of Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities is next. Our July and August meetings were canceled due to lack of agenda items. But is there anything anyone would care to bring to me for the Board of Recreation, Arts, and Cultural Activities, please?
I'd just like to thank you guys for the fireworks. It was an epic occasion in Xenia. Xenia went outside of the envelope, and it was very good to see everybody in one place, orderly. I don't think it was any problem at all. And it was just fun to be there and celebrate independence.
Thank you. Anything else, please? Last item is Planning and Zoning Commission. Councilman Smith, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Xenia Planning and Zoning Commission met on Thursday, July 5th, to discuss the following items, both which were on our agenda for tonight. The first was a public hearing of the planned unit development, the major change at 457 Dayton Avenue, and that's to allow a revised concept plan with 50 residential townhomes. That was filed by Buckeye Hope. That was endorsed for tonight's meeting. The ordinance first reading was conducted on July 5th, and we had that tonight on the agenda, and that final vote will be on the next council meeting on July 26th. The next item was new business, which was the final plat for Sterling Green Crossing Phase 3, and that was also presented tonight. Xenia Planning and Zoning Commission will meet in a special session on Thursday, July 19th. That meeting time has been changed from 7 p.m. to 6 p.m., and that will be 6 p.m. for this and all future meetings of Xenia Planning and Zoning. And those meetings are held right up here in City Council chambers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anything for Planning and Zoning Commission or Councilman Smith, please? At this point, we will move to appointed official reports and council comments. First, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, sir. I do have several updates tonight, so please bear with me. First, our next coffee chat with council is set for August 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. next door at the Coffee Hub. So please, we encourage folks to come out. We'll be putting some more information out there. We're working to have some activities available for kids that night. I want to encourage families to come out, so we're having a diverse crowd. I think we'll have ice cream available free of charge that is being donated by Dairy Station. Thank you. I'm there every other night. I don't know how I forgot that name, but so again, we encourage folks to come out and just chat with all of you. Chat with some of our administrative staff that'll be there. Fire, police chief, I think, are planning on being there. So we encourage folks to come out, participate. We certainly believe when you make a mistake, you have to own that mistake and correct it. And so we got called out a little bit on a mistake here from a week ago, and so I did want to acknowledge that. we have seen a significant increase in the number of flag lowerings that are ordered either nationally or by our governor. And we had one of those last week, and it happened to fall the day before the holiday last week. And as a result of that and what we have to do to secure those flags, we did not have staff in nor anyone with the keys to the locks on the flagpoles to raise the flags up from half staff to full staff on the 4th. And so that is a very regrettable mistake, certainly not a reflection of our sense of patriotism in the community. And so we can do better, and we will. And so we've had some discussions about how we can modify that situation. It's just a unique characteristic that particular flag lowering happened the day before holiday and staff were off. And to be honest, we have to lock our flagpoles down because we've had too much theft and vandalism with them. So there is limited access to those. So wanted to acknowledge that, accept responsibility, and we'll certainly work to do better in the future with that. As Councilman Scrivens mentioned, I would be remiss if I didn't take a minute to offer some thanks and acknowledgments for the Fireworks Festival, the First Fridays. This is not by any means all of the folks involved, but just a few folks that really deserve to be recognized. I want to thank Sarah Mend and the Xenia Rotary Club, who helps coordinate the event down at the park. Heidi Hildebrandt and Blair Davis, tremendous efforts through the First Friday's events, certainly culminated in a spectacular event this past Friday. Absolutely, I want to thank the Sunny Cab family for the generous donations toward the fireworks themselves. Our police, fire, and public service staff members, we're at literal max staffing for that event. It's such a large event for us with a large public turnout, a lot of traffic issues. So we have a significant number of staff that are here to ensure the public safety. So we thank them for sharing their normal time with family with us. Likewise, a lot of our administrative staff came out. Many of us stayed afterward fairly late helping to clean up at the park. So I want to thank those folks that took their time to do that from our staff. The Frontier Truck Club, they've been fantastic in stepping up and helping out with events. Again, for all of our First Friday events this year, they've been there, and certainly here in July. So we thank them for their donation of time and effort. And the Xenia High School Athletic Department, specifically the football and volleyball teams. So this was a really nice volunteer effort on their part. They came out Saturday morning and helped clean the park. It was pretty dirty, to be quite honest. We had a pretty robust turnout. Food sales down there were fantastic, and there was a lot of trash left over. I think by early afternoon, they had that entire place cleaned up, spick and span. So we really appreciate those efforts. A great event. Finally got some good weather for an event, so we thank all of the folks who participated. And we're already in discussions about next year's event, so stay tuned on that. I wanted to acknowledge tonight the efforts of some of the new leadership with the Xenia YRC. There's been some pretty significant transition turnover with the leadership of the Xenia Youth Recreation Club. They are working to bring better and more accountability youth recreation through their program. Our staff is working wherever it's appropriate to help out in that transition, to help support them. Their fields, only part of their field location is located in the city, but by and large, they're providing services to kids right here from our community. So we really want to encourage local businesses or individuals. Maybe in the past you sponsored and supported, and maybe you've kind of fallen away from that. I want to encourage you to think about, as they transition from this season looking forward to next year, re-upping that sponsorship and that commitment. They could use some help in resources to help get equipment purchased that they need to help manage their site out there, and just any type of sponsorship or support. If you're looking for information on how to get in touch with those folks, contact our office here at City Manager's office, and we will work to get you in touch with the right folks. But just really appreciate the efforts of individuals in our community when they step up to help out with youth recreation. It's a big commitment, and those folks are taking on a big responsibility. I wanted to acknowledge that and just lend a vote of confidence that they're moving that organization in the right direction. Finally, this evening, our eXplore Xenia TV has launched its newest program. We encourage folks to visit us on Facebook or explorexenia.com to view the most recent episode, which features vignettes on our Fireworks Festival and First Friday's event, the Bennett Play Depot and Splash Pad, as well as an update on the Reach Center. And that is all I have this evening.
Thank you very much. Mr. Finance Director, please.
Thank you, Council President. I'm pleased to announce that the city has completed its 2017 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. That report is available on the city website. It has been submitted to the state auditor for their review. It's not yet available on their website, but if you're anxious to view that, you can go out to our website and view it. Council will be provided a actual physical printed copy. We're working on completing those. During that process, we are audited by an independent firm, and then after their review is complete and they issue their opinion, it then goes to the state auditor, who also reviews the report. In conjunction with our filing of that report, the state takes the data from our report and compiles a report that they call their financial health indicators. That preliminary report is also out there and available on our website for people to view for 2017. I'm pleased to announce that in each of the last 2 years, our rating from the state has improved. Now, that report isn't an end-all be-all. It's not the only report I would use in evaluating the city's finances, but it is a tool to take a look at to better understand the financial health or the well-being of the city's finances. So a good thing that we've seen some progress and slightly better ratings over the last couple of years as a result of that report as well. Just encourage people to go out to our website, because all of this information is out on our website for people to review. If you're looking for data on the city's finances, on how we're spending dollars, it's all there on the website. We've got our schedule of bills posted. You can see every expense transaction over the last 2 years. You can go out to the state OHA checkbook and see even more data than that from a website. Our financial report, as I said, it's audited. It's very reliable, and it's really a better way to understand how the city is spending funds. For example, in our 2017 report, our total expenditures are about $39 million. Tonight, the tax budget that was presented to council was $55 million. So a pretty stark difference there because of transfers, loans, things that aren't truly expenses. And when you get down to the GAAP, the generally accepted accounting principles, and you're reporting that on a full accrual basis, it looks a lot different. So our actual expenses in 2017, both governmental and the enterprise funds or business type funds combined, about $39 million. So I encourage people to go out to the website, view that information. It's good information. We do have information on our streets as well. A question was raised tonight about where some of the dollars have gone for streets and spending and those things. Actually, on our website, for each year, it will show you which streets were paved in which years and how that money was allocated. And if you can't get to our website to view that information, but you're anxious to see it, certainly reach out to us. We can print it out. We'll get it to you so you can view how the city spent those dollars since 2010. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Madam Law Director.
I do have one comment I want to make. I've heard a couple comments this evening, and I want to make sure that this is understood, particularly that our public understands exactly what it means that we approved a tax budget tonight. Tax budget is not the city's budget for 2019. What the tax budget does, and the finance director can certainly correct me if I say anything wrong here, we have to submit to the Budget Commission for the Budget Commission to determine what percentage of the inside millage this city will collect in property tax. There's a 10 mil cap on the inside millage that is shared between the schools, the city, the township, and the county. We get 6-7 cents on the dollar for every dollar of property tax that's paid. When you submit a tax budget, you want to show the biggest projections that you can as far as what your needs are, that if any inside millage would become available, that would become available to us because we can show we have a need for it. So when the finance director said there's a difference between what our budget shows we spent last year and the tax budget, that's not because there's this huge increase in spending. That's simply the tax budget that we're presenting to the county, that if any of that inside millage would become available, we have said we have a need for it. So I just kind of wanted to explain that. I thought it was important for the public to understand that.
Thank you. So essentially, the city's tax budget is describing both our known needs and what we would consider
Potential
our
needs.
unfunded needs.
Correct.
And presenting that to the tax commission.
Correct.
Which is our opportunity to represent you as citizens, an opportunity to gain back some of your tax money you're paying to the county in your taxes you pay there to go to use in the city for needed projects.
Correct.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing? I'm glad you brought that up. The schools get about 67 cents on the dollar.
This school takes the bulk of property taxes,
And I
yes.
think the county gets 26, 27.
Correct.
So I don't know if people realize how low we are on the totem pole.
And the township also collects some of that inside millage.
Yeah, but the schools get 67.
They get the bulk of it, yes. We
Thank you.
get typically it's 6 to 7 cents on the dollar. For
Yes.
every dollar of property tax that's paid, that's all that comes back to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move to council comments. Madam Mayor.
Thank you. A couple things that happened over the last 2 weeks. I wanted to thank personally on Mayor Bob Stone and Mayor Paul Keller from Beaver Creek and Fairborn. They invited myself and some others to participate in their July 4th festivities, both the parades in Fairborn and Beaver Creek, and it was an honor to be a part of that. And we've talked about them coming here in September and participating here in Xenia as well. So continuing to try to work together as communities, and this extends to our county commission, working with one of our commissioners and meeting with him for coffee with Mr. Kugler and Brandon Huddleston, trying to continue to find ways to work together as county, as cities, and have open communication. So I wanted to thank them. On July 6th, obviously, here in town, I wanted to also thank the Cab family and Xenia Rotary, the Green Memorial, city staff. It was a tremendous evening, and it was an honor to be a part of it. I was very, I got to be a part of announcing for the bike parade and the chalk art, and it was fun and it was exciting. It was refreshing to see so many people coming to Xenia to participate in our festivities. So I was very proud of our city that day, and I am proud of our city. It was a great day. On July 9th, I had an opportunity with Shannon Webster to ride with Green Cats, and we took the east to west line and did a 2-hour tour of the city of Xenia. Learned a lot about our public transit system, and did not realize how easy it is. It can be very intimidating to people who have never used it. I know I've been intimidated to use it, but it was very informative. We have 2 lines that run in Xenia, plus you can go to Dayton, Beaver Creek, Fairborn, Yellow Springs. So I hope that people will take advantage of that. And one of the things that I thought was especially neat is that Shannon will do ride training with you. So she regularly meets with people who are interested in using our public transit system, who are intimidated or concerned or don't know how to use it, and she will ride it with you, take that time to explain where to get on, where you can go to. So I'm very thankful for their work here. On July 11th, just yesterday, had the opportunity to see Megan Forrest sworn in as our newest Xenia police person, and it was a neat gathering. Her father was able to pin her badge on her. It was very emotional for a lot of people. It was very exciting. So I wanted to congratulate Ms. Forrest. Today, I had a very unique opportunity to have coffee with Mr. William H. Tibbs IV and with his son, Mr. Tibbs V, and his grandson, Mr. Tibbs VI. And they are from out of state, but his grandmother actually was here. She is buried out at Cherry Grove Cemetery, and he has a lot of family that attended Wilberforce University, so he has been wanting to come to Xenia for a very long time and see the cemetery. He had a very large book that he's worked of his genealogy, was very proud of his family, and it was a neat opportunity to hear some history about our city and the part that it played in his family. Their last family reunion, this just recently, was 160 people, and they are hoping to do their next reunion here in Xenia. So they considered Dayton. I talked them out of it. That's right. On a personal note, my church, Emmanuel Baptist, we're doing a vacation Bible school next week, and I just want to make sure that kids and parents are aware of it. It's 9:30 to noon. You can register at ebczenia.org. It's at 1120 South Detroit Street, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I get to MC the whole thing and sing a lot of songs with kids, so it's going to be a good week. And then I did want to mention personally also, I made a promise to somebody this week. She called me, and I did not catch her name, but we had a conversation about her concerns with the possible tax levy, and I gave her my word that I would mention that she did call, and we did not see eye to eye, but we had a conversation that I was very thankful for, and I told her that, and I'm thankful for the folks that came tonight. It is very important that we have open communication, that we have an opportunity to dialogue, and I'm very appreciative when we can do that respectfully and carefully and listen to each other. Matt, I remember speaking to you when I was walking the streets, so I'm very thankful for you to be here tonight, and I look forward to talking with you more. It is important as a community that we continue to talk to each other, whether it be face-to-face, on the phone, show that respect even when we disagree, and to try to find ways to move forward as a community. That's how we will succeed. I wanted to thank Ms. Toddy for coming tonight, and thank you for coming this evening. It's so great when people are willing to come here and speak to us and give us an opportunity, hopefully to chat afterwards and to dialogue. So thank you for coming. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Lauterbach, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of things. Brent, I wanted to ask you the REACH project, the physical, the building out there right now, the shell, is that going to be, what's going to be housed in there? The YMCA, I know.
Yeah.
Is there going to be other entities in there?
Yep, and so the footprint you see presently is taking shape for what the final overall footprint will be. To the farthest toward the road, toward Progress, to the east, you'll have the portion that is for the YMCA, and then toward the center section, you'll have the Xenia Adult Recreation Services will occupy a portion, and then there'll be a shared portion between Clark State University and Central State University where they will provide on-site classroom instruction. You'll have a center driveway, and then the northern half or more of the complex will be reserved for services that will come through a second phase of construction with Kettering Health Network. It should be noted that one of the nice features at the site is that there will be outdoor sports fields that'll expand the offerings of the YMC, which they are currently not able to provide at their current location.
So I can't remember how many total acres.
I want to say 30-some,
Okay.
I think.
So there's going to be more than one building.
Yeah, so the building under construction now is just the portion for the Y, the senior center, and the two educational institutions. The Kettering Health Network portion won't start construction. I think they're estimating. In fact, we just went with reps from Kettering Health to look at their Middletown, their new Middletown hospital that's under construction, just to get a sense of how they proceed with those conversations. And I think they're looking at design that would occur in 2019 with construction in 2020.
Thank you. Just one other thing. I want to piggyback on the mayor's comments. It really enlightens my heart when we have people come and speak because so many people hide behind a computer. And I really like to see people face to face. We're not always going to agree, but you're using your constitutional right as a citizen to speak whatever you want to speak. And you can do that anytime. And anybody watching by TV, please come and get involved in your community. Like I said, we're doing the best we can. We're not always going to agree, but please speak up. Thank you.
Councilman Scrivens.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, City of Xenia, I too would like to compliment the ones who came and did the American thing. You stood up and you spoke out and you were heard. And we will take everything that you've asked us and stated under advisement, and we hope to at least measure up to your expectations. We definitely hope not to fall short. Mrs. Logan, it's good to meet you. One of my next door neighbors is afflicted with multiple sclerosis, and one of my best friends who's bedridden, hello, Dick Owens. He's been ill with MS as long as I've known him, but his Part B is fantastic. And I just want to say that we'll do everything we can to make life in Xenia very good for you as it is for us. So whatever your impediments are, let us know. And we'll be sure if we can knock them down, we'll do that. Mr. Harbison, thank you, sir. We haven't forgotten you. And stay the course before it's over. Everything's going to come together. Mike, I haven't met you yet, but I intend to meet you and work directly with you until we have a clear understanding, both of us, of the numbers. Because with that, then we can all move forward. If we have doubt about the numbers, then we're going to not move forward. Now, in terms of this street levy that everybody wants to call my number, and please continue calling, 781-6484. Jimmy and Madeline and Doris and everybody who calls this number. I will talk to you as long as you want to talk. And we will find a way to make things happen in Xenia, because Xenia is someplace special. Granted, it's not Oakwood, Upper Arlington, or Dublin, Kettering, or Oakwood. This is Xenia, and this is what we love. And we're going to stay here, stay the course, and we're going to make it happen. Now, in terms of the infrastructure, I really don't care what they look like, as long as it's smooth. It could be polka dots out there. I wouldn't care, as long as it's smooth, okay? So that's where I'm coming from. The Romans started building roads a long time ago, and the roads are still there. Well, some of the roads we built here a long time ago, they're still there, but we just paved over them, okay? I remember when it was cobblestone up and down the streets, okay? So it's a process. We can't get them all done this year, even if we wanted to, even if we had the 30 million that we're going to get over 10 years. Why not self-assess yourself for progress? I'm going to self-assess myself. I hope the city will find in their hearts to self-assess themselves. You can't get anything without paying for it. Nothing is free. We got what we got now because of the generations before us. So let's not be so penny wise and pound foolish here. What's $10? You throw that away on a beer and a burger at a ball game. But you don't want to have the public good for everybody else? Please, let's be serious here. This is where we live. So let's take it upon ourselves to pick up the ball and move it down the field. And quit being so daggone stodgy. That's why people don't want to come here. We're stodgy. We don't want to change it. What's the way? That's tradition. We need to break from tradition at some point and go our own way and blaze our own trail. I used to be health inspector in Fairborn. I liked the way they did the sidewalks with the stones and the bricks and stuff. We need to improve our sidewalks here in downtown. I agree 100%. But it's part of the process of getting this place rolling. So I thank everybody and just want you to keep the faith. We're here working for you daily. Daily. We only meet bi-monthly, but we work for you daily. And thank you. And one other thing, Mr. President, if Mr. City Manager could have our public service director to take a look at water that's ponding on Clark Street, on Orchard Street at Clark Street. The problem is we got a tobacco road that washes down. It's gravel. It sets up a dam, and then of course the water can't move. And there's a mulberry tree there, creating a real good splash for the birds. And it's just something that the mosquitoes are going to find as a heaven if we don't get that thing drained and moved around.
We'll look into it.
Mrs. Toddy, thank you for coming. We heard what you said, and we'll definitely look into that. And just let's be Xenians. Let's stand up for something and not just lay down for anything. I mean, let's go ahead and move this ball down the field. With that, Mr. President, I thank you, sir. Reel back my time.
Thank you. Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. Also, piggyback on the 4th of July, and thank you for the Sunny Cab family, the Xenia Rotary, and the City of Xenia. That evening, a lot of comments on Facebook, a lot of people really appreciative of that event, and very proud of our community, and very thankful that that was able to be achieved. And also was able to enjoy First Fridays for a little while. And I appreciate the downtown businesses and the businesses that set up booths along downtown, and the extra work that they put involved in that. I know Heidi and Blair spent a lot of countless hours, unpaid hours, to put this on for the last several years. So we really appreciate that. And also like to thank the Greg Sell and the Xenia Jazz Band for a fantastic job that they did with the First Church of Christ 4th of July program. They presented a phenomenal concert each night of that program, and there was crowds of 500 to 600 people each night, and so they did a great job, and very proud of the program at First Church. They have a group of parishioners right now who are in Mexico, working with churches in that area. They've never been in some of those areas of Mexico, so prayers for their safety down there. And then in about another week, there'll be a group going to Brazil. So there's a lot of mission work that that church does, and I really appreciate being a part of that. Also like to thank those that have kept me in their prayers. Had some surgery about 3 weeks ago, and really appreciate that. So very honored to serve the citizens of Xenia. This is my 8.5 year being up here. And I'll admit, not every decision we've had to make has been pleasant. Nobody likes to pay more money. But as Mr. Scriven says, you get what you pay for. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that are kicking in. Our tax base is not generating enough revenue. The streets situation, as I said the last council meeting, this did not happen overnight. This was decades of deterioration where the can was kicked down the road. And unfortunately, as unpopular as it is, we're going to put that can right there. So you can kick it in November, or it can fail, and we will look for other alternatives. But unfortunately, we can only do so much with what we have. And as we stated last night, and I didn't know this until probably 4 or 5 years ago, very little of your property tax actually comes to the city. That's why we have an income tax. That's why in 2010, we had to reach out to the voters for additional funds. It was presented as not just a safety levy, but an operating levy. And those funds have been spent as we promised, and firefighters, police officers were reinstated, and over $500,000 plus has been put towards our streets. Additional repairs have been made to our city as well, and so we're just really thankful for what we have, and continue to thank those of you that have reached out to us. I got a text today, someone who I've known for several years, went to church with her, not very happy that we're asking for additional money. She wanted us to do a sales tax. I told her that was on a county level. We, as a municipality, do not have the authority to do that. So we're looking for ways to improve things the best we can. And again, we appreciate your consideration. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
I have heard absolutely nothing but good about the fireworks display and the tremendous crowd that we had in Shawnee Park. I live very close, and so I don't have to go into the park to enjoy the fireworks. I can look out my bedroom window and see probably better than I could if I were at the park. But we do want to continue to make that a scene and an event worth coming to each year. Would like to agree with my colleagues in thanking all of those that came tonight to express their views on the levy and other items of interest that they've expressed. I don't know what we'll do if the levy fails. We'll have to make a decision and come up with something, because we certainly want to continue to work on the roads. We're talking about the $500,000 that's been spent, but this year we've almost approached $1 million and plus because of the grants and other things that we've done, and we will be exploring options and opportunities every way we can, every time we can, to improve the roads while it's on our watch. We cannot be responsible for what other folk did on theirs, but we can work on ours. And the Citizens Committee that we appointed actually made the recommendation for the levy, and I personally agree that the citizens need to be able to have their say, and they will express their say in November, I think the 6th of November, and once they say what they have to say, we will take that and work accordingly. The roads are horrible, but I do want to let you know in the last 2 months I've had occasion to be in Boston and I've had occasion to be in Chicago, and frankly, our roads, as bad as they are not as bad as either of theirs. And you know, we'll do the best we can with what we have to work with. And I do want to just also agree with, I think Councilman Scrivens said it, as well as Councilman Louderback. We appreciate people from the community coming down and expressing themselves. You are listened to, you are heard, and while we don't take the time during the meetings to say, Mr. Merriman, tell me more about what it was that Mr. Harbison or someone else had to say, we ask him about those things once we're out of the meetings. So don't think that you're not heard. You are, in fact, heard. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I would just echo the comments of all of my colleagues. I won't repeat them other than to add a special thank you to Sarah Min, Blair Davis, and Heidi Hildebrand. Not only were they obviously an instrumental part of the fireworks festivities that we just enjoyed, but the First Fridays in general. Really appreciate them, as well as all of the other individuals who pitched in, again, on a completely voluntary basis to make for some great events in our downtown on the First Fridays of May, June, and July. Other than that, I have nothing additionally to add. Unless someone else has a second, I would seek a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Lauterbach. Second, please.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Smith by nose. Roll call, please.
Vice President Wallace?
Aye.
Councilman Scrivens?
Aye.
Councilman Lauterbach?
Aye.
Councilman Smith?
Aye.
Mayor Mays?
Aye.
President Engel?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.